the winds are now picking up again. We're probably getting gusts now in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range. The winds are already, I would say now we're getting gusts closer to 30 mile an hour range. But planes are still flying, as you can hear by the roar of the planes. Currently we're getting mostly cloudy skies, light drizzle, and gusty northeast winds. These winds are expected to get stronger overnight and peak in intensity tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, with gusts could exceed hurricane force. So we're already getting strong winds more than 24 hours in advance of the worst conditions. Luckily, we won't get much rain from this, just 2 to 3 inches, but the winds will be, and the coastal flooding will be much worse than the rain. We might barely get an inch here, actually. And still, the wind damage might be much worse than any rain here. But in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, quite a different story. The rain will be the largest threat. The Delaware water gap, the Delaware River, eastern Pennsylvania are going to get just terribly flooded. Worse than Irene. Just imagine what happened in Vermont and think that in Pennsylvania and western New Jersey, especially where the orographic lifting with the southeast winds are going to interact with the higher elevations of New Jersey, of western New Jersey, the Poconos, the Catskills, and just the general higher elevations associated with the Appalachians and west central Pennsylvania as well. There also could be some snow there when the system goes cold core Tuesday into Wednesday. So this is very dangerous. Please, if you live along the coast, please evacuate. You're welcome. A very scary situation. I've never seen anything like this, and a lot of people in the meteorology field, as I'm going to be getting into in the next few years, have never seen anything like this. I was expecting the storm to do something like this because I believe the GFS model, initially, but the GFS waxed and waned, saying it's not going to hit, then it is going to hit. But I looked at the ensemble, which were forecasting hit for the Northeast more than a week ago. I even said on Wednesday, the GFS was forecasting that instead what's going to hit us is going to be a coastal storm, while Irene is going to go to Canada. I believe that Sandy was still going to affect our area. And speaking of Irene will be nothing compared to this horrible storm. And actually, when I heard the name Frankenstorm for this storm, I was quite offended. This storm is not a joke. This storm is not a freaking joke. And when I didn't know how to express the name Frankenstorm. I mean, that name just is not a joke. It's not a joke. And when I went to the weather conference yesterday, where I met a lot of famous meteorologists, such as the legendary Dr. Greg Forbes, one of the meteorologists said that the name Frankenstorm is now being dropped by the meteorologist because that this storm is so dangerous and so potentially destructive that they're not going to make a mockery out of this storm. Like Snowtober or, Snowmageddon. They really should not mess around with Mother Nature, The name should remain Sandy. Sandy should be classified as a hurricane through landfall to make people aware of how dangerous this storm is. And the National Weather Service from Upton, put up a high wind warning for this area for gusts up to 80 miles an hour. I mean, high wind warning. I've seen high wind warnings for just blustery days where we get gusts 50, 60. So high wind warning today for this is, I believe, unacceptable. They should issue a hurricane warning. They should issue destructive wind warnings, not high wind warnings, because this is how dangerous the storm is. Please, please, take the storm extremely seriously. And especially those of you who live along the coast, get the heck off the beach. Pack up and leave. And if you can't, just stay there. I mean, not stay there. If you can't leave, and if you can't leave because you don't have anywhere else to go to, but you have a car, and your relative's house is packed, and you live in a high rise, and you do want to stay, don't leave your car near the waters. You're going to lose your car. And I really say you should not stay near the water, but if you want to, tape up your windows. If you want to stay in your high rise near the waters, tape up your windows or even board them up. Because the higher up you are, the stronger the winds are. At ground level, gusts might be 50, 60. Sustained might be 50, 60. At 100 feet up, you can have winds 60, 70. The winds will be much stronger higher up. When we had a tropical depression a few years ago, this was a warning. A tropical depression was a warning. The tropical depression sort of turned into a nor'easter. This was a few years ago in 2007 or 8. I forgot exactly when it occurred. But there were gusts along the coast that reached 80 miles an hour. Gusts at Kennedy reached 70. Yet this was a tropical depression. But the pressure gradient between a high and the tropical depression put gusts up to 80 miles an hour right along the coast. This is going to be a similar thing, except 3 times as bigger, and the winds might be 3 times worse. Like, I don't mean like strength-wise, I mean inland-wise. Like, instead of having 20, 30 mile an hour winds inland, you might have 50, 60 because of the extremely tight pressure gradient / the extreme deepening of the storm. Right now, the storm is 952 millibars, which is that of a Category 2 to Category 3 hurricane. And today's date is the 28th, actually. Remarkably, just exactly a year ago, we were preparing for a snowstorm. Weather conditions were very similar exactly 1 year ago. We were having temperatures in the mid-50s, similar winds, and except this time we're dealing with different circumstances. We're not dealing with a snowstorm here, we're dealing with something tropical. So last year we went from Arctic type conditions, now we're going to tropical. A complete 360-degree flip, or 180-degree flip, I mean, in weather conditions. So please take this seriously and evacuate coastal areas. Don't stay in the high rises. Don't be dumb enough, please. Just evacuate. Thank you.